Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.
So the main motive behind the session is to how to approach the mains exam and what are the terminologies you need to know and what are the possible questions they may ask in this upcoming exam and how they will fix the question for that exam, from where they pick the question. So all the things will be discussed here. For example, after the prelims and to the mains, it will be around 3 months or 3.5 months. There will be the time period. At that time period, there will be many newses or the articles related to the major news. Presently, there is the issue of this Bangladesh, and also there is the recession going on the US. It's not exactly recession, but somewhat there is an economic crisis is happening. At the same time, there is the issue of the Ukraine-Russia, still it is banning. Okay, so these are the certain major issues. So the question will be the reflections of this issue. For example, in IR, they may be asked a question related to the Bangladesh, or else they will be asked a question related to the shark. So the organizations that are related to the neighboring countries. So, or else they may ask, simply they will ask about the Act East policy. So there may be the possible questions based on this current events. So we will discuss that also. Why they asked this question, why they asked this question on that year. So by the way, you can guess the questions that are going to be in this 2024 mains. So these are the things will be discussed here, and also we will discuss about the what are the terminologies they are going to use. Based on the terminologies, the answer will be somewhat different. For example, scope for the inland waterways and the significance of the inland waterways, both are the different thing. The answer should be very based on that word called a scope and the significance. That things also you have to know before you are going into the exam, because most of the aspirants, what they will do is they will just list the answers. They don't know what that meaning scope is asking. Even though they know, they won't answer in that way. So these are the certain things they know before they are going to the exam. For example, if it is the scope of inland waterway, means you have to say there are many river basins in India, and also in North India most of the rivers are a perennial river. So these are the certain advantages that helps for the inland waterways. So this is the scope, the opportunity, the chances we have in that inland waterways. And then when it comes to the significance of the waterways, means you have to say that it is directly connected to the ports. So by the way, that is going to increases the export of the product. That is going to help in the reduction in the logistic cost. So if there is a reduction in the logistic cost, means that is going to reduce the prices of the goods. And also it is easy to transport. It don't need any infrastructures, not major infrastructures. When it comes to roads, you have to construct a roadways. When it comes to the airways, you need to construct the airports. So there is the major infrastructural needs. When it comes to inland waterways, it's nothing like that. So these are the significance. So based on the terms, it will vary. But what the most of the aspirants will do is, even though they know, due to the exam pressure or else the constraints in the time period, they just list the point. So you have to know, and also you have to know how to structure the answer. These are the certain more important things. All these things will be discussed here. Okay. Okay, let's begin the session. Okay, it was asked in 2016. It is a 12.5 mark question. 12.5 mark question. Justify the need for FDI for the development of the Indian economy. This is the first part of the question. Okay, so justify. Next, second part of the question is why there is a gap between the MOU signed and actual FDI. So gap between the signed and the realized FDI. Why it is? Okay, so it is a why based question. This is a justification based question. Next, third part is suggest the remedial steps to be taken for increasing the actual FDI in India. So suggestion. Simply a suggestion for the increase the FDI inflow into the India. Not only in paper but in reality. So these are the three subdivisions of this question. So first is justify, second is the gap, third is the suggestion. So these are the things they asked in this question. It is a 12.5 mark question. So first, what is the major keyword of this question? That you have to know. So based on that keyword only, you have to give the intro. So based on the question itself, you come to know that the major thing of this question is the FDI. So you have to know about what is FDI and the intro should be related to the FDI. Either you can simply say what is FDI. Simply say what is FDI. Foreign direct investment. It is the investment or a capital flow into the India from the abroad or the external market. So simply you can say what is FDI, or else in the investment part, how much percentages come as FDI, or else in the percentage of the GDP, how much the FDI is contributed into India. It is getting into the India. How much part? In a percentage of GDP. That is also you can quote. If you know that means you can quote, or simply go with what is FDI. It is none of the issue. If you are going to quote the percentage of the GDP means it is good and you will get an extra half a mark. If it is not means it is not an issue. You will get the maximum mark what it is going to be. Okay, so this is the intro part. Next, now you have to jump into the question. First part is justify the need for the FDI in the development of Indian economy. So why we need FDI? Simply, that is the first part. So you have to justify it, which means there is an investment happening in domestic also. Consider that you also invest in any startups or else any companies through the stock markets or else through various other means, through the mutual funds. Anyway you can invest in the company. So that is the domestic investment. Even though there is the possibility for the domestic investment, even though there is an opportunity for the credit facility for the startups, they can buy a loan. That is called as debt market. So one is called as equity market, another one is called as debt market. So in equity market that comes the FDI, FII, okay, or else mutual funds, everything will be there. In the debt market you can get a loan, the companies can get a loans. So there are various possibilities for the money flow as an investment in that company. But why you need FDI as the more predominant one? So that is the question that is actually asking. Justify the need for the FDI. So first you have to know what is the importance of the FDI. Why the FDI is more important than any other means of investment or is the possibility for the debt market. Why it is more important? So your answer should be justify that. That is the more important thing. The first important thing is the technology transfer. When it comes to the foreign direct investments, if consider that Walmart is going to invest in any companies, like consider that any domestic company that is going into that is running any supermarket. Okay, so consider that for example, there is a Saravana store. If the Walmart is going to invest in that Saravana store, now consider that Saravana store is in all over the India. Now the Walmart is going to invest in that Saravana store, means then the growth will be humongous due to the some technology transfer will be happens to that Saravana store. So that will make that Saravana store to grow more. They will increase their tentacles. Okay, so it will be, the growth will be humongous. So due to the certain technology transfer due by that FDI inflow. So that is the first and foremost thing. Okay, so second is consider that the non-debt. So FDI is actually a non-debt instrument. In that debt instrument, there is a major issue. When it comes to the debt instruments like loans, there is a possibility for the loss of the money that will end as a NPA. Okay, NPA, non-performing asset. Due to this NPA crisis, India is one of the country which have the huge NPA. Okay, so India is the one of the country with the huge NPA. So most of the banks are not ready to give the loan to the private sectors. Many of the startups they are not even get this private loans. They can't get the credit facility from the banks. That is the major concern. So in that scenario, FDI is the only option for them. And also there is a term called as crowding out effect. Which means, consider that there is a government and a private player. Okay, public sector and the private sector. Both of them getting into the debt market and asking for a loan, means what the people will do or the bank will do is they will give the loan to the public sector only, because there is a risk of losing the money is very low. Even though there is a losing of money, the government will contribute to that bank through the budgets. So the risk of losing the money is very low, so they won't lend any money to the private sector. So this is also one of the major issue. And also in India, the government have the huge borrowing hand. They will release the GSEC and T-book. By the way, they can pull the money into them. So private sector are not able to avail any loan facility. In that scenario, FDI is the only option. So that is why the FDI is more important. Next, creation of the competitive market. Obviously, consider that now consider the telecom industry. So only 3 major players are in that telecom industry. Now consider there is a global player come into the India through the FDI means. For example, Vodafone and Idea. In that Vodafone and Idea, the Vodafone and Idea they divided, and now the Vodafone get a foreign direct investment from the foreign telecom industry. So then there will be the increases in the competition. So that will increases the efficiency of the market. So only we need the FDI. So only FDI is more important one. Next, fill the gap created by the banks. Yes, obviously. Next, increases the employment opportunity. Yes. So if there is a more foreign direct investment means there will be more growth in the private sector. So if there is more growth in the private sector means, so they will obviously pull the people into the employment opportunity. So the base of that employment will be increased. So these are the certain more importance for the FDI. So only FDI is more important than any other thing. So you have, by the way, only you have to justify the need for the FDI for the development of the Indian economy. You addressed the first part of the question. Next, why there is a gap between the MOU signed and the actual FDI, which means our honorable PM going to many countries and sign the free trade agreements and also signing any foreign direct investments ideas. Okay, so by the way, our Indian Prime Minister is going to various countries. By the way, he is pulling the foreign direct investments into India. So they are in paper they are saying that, but in reality it is not we are able to achieve that FDI into India. So the flow of FDI into India is not happening as what said in the paper. So the reason is simple as that. First and foremost reason is the issues with the tax regimes. India is a democratic country, so there will be the frequent changes in the government and also the tax structures also changing. Year on year during the budget session it is changing. It is not maintained as far as. So that itself create a certain concerns for the foreign direct investors. So that is the first and foremost issue. And also the political ideology. So the political ideology is shifting from the socialist to capitalist, capitalist to socialist. So that is also one of the major concerns. And also consider that the foreign direct investor is ready to invest in India. Where they will invest? That is the major concern. For invest anything, they need, which means they are going to start a company. So for that they need a land to start a company means. So also the land should be around 200 to 300 hectares of land. That is the major need. So in this scenario, where they will get it and how they will get it and when they will get it. So this is the another major issue. The land acquisition process itself, it is taking around 1 or 2 years. So that is the major concern when it comes to the FDI. Next is prolonged litigation process. If there is any issue, with the FDI, even the company was started, okay, after the company started, if they are facing any issue means the litigation process, it takes more time and also it is consuming more money of that company. As per the ease of doing business data, so for starting the company in India, it takes around more than a month or more than a month or else more than 2 to 3 months. But when it comes to China, to start the company, it is taking less than a week. In India, there are various licensing process that you have to fill. And also there is a connection lag between various ministry. The labor ministry functions in distinct way. The skill development ministry functions in a distinct way. Okay, so Ministry of Corporate Affairs, they run in a distinct way. So there is no collaboration happening. So that leads to the delay in the starting of the company, or else if there is any issue in that company, that is also leads to many delay, departmental delay. So these are the major concern for the foreign direct investors. And also last thing is government interventions through the policies. So the policy is changing. That is also affect the company's growth. So that leads to the loss of money. So that is also affecting the investors' confidence. These are the major things leads to the realization of the FDI. Even though there is a sign, the realization is not happening due to these reasons. Now, the third part of this question is suggest the measures. So what will be the suggestion? Here you can see, even though all these three parts have the equal mark, but in the suggestion, if you give such certain good suggestions means, or else a certain how to say, it's if that suggestion is more of with the examples means, that will give you extra marks. For example, issue with the land acquisition. In that you can speak about the land bank scheme of Gujarat. Gujarat have a certain scheme called as land bank scheme. So in that land bank system, you can, if you are a company runner, okay, consider that you are a foreign player, you need to start a company, means you just come into the India and see that Gujarat have a certain system called land bank system. In that you can say that I need this much of land in this area, and also the availability of the water, everything you just what are the needs you need, okay, what are the needs for your company you listed, means they will suggest you the land, and also they will reduce the litigation process and the processing of that land to you, either through the lease or selling. They will reduce the time period. So that leads to the growth of that state. At the same time, it is easy for the investors to find the land. So this is the one of the thing followed by the Gujarat. So the state is following this. Now you have to either give the model act. The central government, what they have to do is, they have to create a model act. By the way, the state government, every other state government can also adapt this. So this is the way you have to give the measures. And also there is various tax regimes that is changing. So even though the tax regimes are need for the tax regime changes, you have to give certain compensation or exemptions for that companies, creation of the SEZ zones, and also easy way of overcome the issues of the NPA. If the NPA crisis is overcome, means you either the company can source the foreign direct investments, or they can go for the credit facility, they can borrow the money. So enhanced activities of the insolvency and bankruptcy code, and also creation of the SEZ. At the same time, infrastructural growth. So these are the certain remedial measures. Okay, so by the way, you can increases the realization of the FDI. Actual FDI also, that will be the growth. So these are the certain measures you can quote. It is a suggestion part, so you have n number of ideas you can quote. And also at the end of this answer, the conclusion will be like, so India need to go, for example, India need to get into the 5 trillion economy. If the India did this, means we can easily achieve this 5 trillion economy within this year. So this is the way of concluding the answer. So always have the crux of certain intros and the crux of certain conclusions that you can use it. Don't spend lot of time to think for the conclusions and intro. So these are the certain things you need to follow. Okay, thank you.